Hey guys, I'm Purist and welcome to my Reacts segment. Today, as you can probably parse from the title, I'm reacting to Angelikatosh, which I've only very recently found out how to actually say. Oh. She's really good. I thoroughly recommend her. As always, I will recommend her channel in the description down below, and before I forget. Yep. And yeah. Also, that should be in theater mode.
In
there
a
we
study
go.
that was published.
I wasn't ready. There we go. So back, relax, grab some snacks, and let's get into this.
In January of 2026, the University of Social Sciences and Humanities in Warsaw, Poland, delved into the psychology and the science behind post-game depression. They explore that feeling of emptiness and the grief symptoms that are experienced by gamers following the completion of a game by implementing what they called the first ever quantitative measure of post-game depression.
This is just very humorous to me that actual scientists are like getting paid to do this. Also, kind of based that it's in Poland, to be honest. Same. Also, on the subject, the only game I've ever actually had that level of post-game depression, probably Mass Effect, when I finished that for the first time. When I first finished that game, I legit cried. Simply because I had spent like over what 300 hours across the full trilogy with these across like a single playthrough of these characters. I don't want to see them go. Like, fuck. It definitely has legs. I tell you that.
The post-game depression scale, or the P-GDS, if you want to sound smart. So today I want to talk about the key points and the takeaways from this study, as well as kind of have a broader discussion on gamer psychology, the general lack of such studies, and where perhaps even this particular research could have gone deeper. And before we get started, hi, my name is Angelika, and I may not be a psychologist, but I have been playing games since I was physically able to sit in front of a computer, so I feel that I am qualified to have at least half of this discussion. Make sure to check me out on Twitch for regular live streams, and let's get right into it. Now, before we even look into the findings of the
I should check her out on Twitch, actually.
actual study, I think it's really important to note that this particular research feels like it's come very late. I think that the idea of experiencing depressive symptoms,
I think that's just a I think that's just an aspect of like, you know, people just not taking games very seriously. I mean, sorry, going back to Mass Effect again. I remember a certain Fox like news segment titled Sex Box that I recently found out actually like interviewed a young Jeff Keighley about circa 2000 and something, I don't know, 2008 I think it is, like the first Mass Effect came out on Xbox. Wait, I'm gonna look that up. sorry, I'm not doing it on here, but like, I recently found out how to actually capture specific windows on Linux, so I'm pretty pleased about that, to be honest. Anyway, back to this. Mass Effect 1 release date. Oh, it was 2007. I thought it was 2006. I thought it was a launch game for the Xbox 360. Apparently not.
After you've finished with some piece of media, like you've read a book or watched 6 seasons of the greatest TV series of all time, is actually talked about
Again. Sorry. Yeah. I really need to watch Breaking Bad. I've only gone up to like the end of season 2, I'm pretty sure.
6 seasons of the greatest TV series of all time is actually talked about quite often. It is a very common phenomenon that can also be broadly applied to movies and all sorts of things like that. And right now you can Google it and find numerous studies on post-series depression or post-film depression, but only recently have we started talking about this in video games. And I would argue that video games are the most likely type of media to evoke such feelings because they give you the ability to build.
Yeah, which is weird that I found. I mean, post-series depression, I can definitely see, but post-movie, the only aspect I can kind of see that is probably Endgame when that ended. Possibly helped on by the fact that you know, a certain person dies in the end. But like, you know, also probably hoped out posthumously that basically anything after Endgame is kind of a bit shit. Bar like a few like select properties, most of it is kind of crap by comparison. Post book and post movie depression, I don't really get.
The strongest connections with the world and the characters out of any other kind of media. In games, you get to either step directly into the shoes of the protagonist and live their story through their eyes, make decisions, fail, succeed, solve problems, or of course there are the games that let you create a character yourself, which then allows you to form an even deeper bond with what
I really need to get back into Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't even tried to play it on Linux, so I probably should do that. Maybe with mods. Maybe I'll try it with mods.
whatever world you're in. It feels very much like whenever it came to any kind of studies on gamer psychology, those things were all in the realm of the benefits of gaming, like, I don't know, better hand-eye coordination, better decision-making skills, better problem-solving skills, leadership skills, and then of course the infinite and notorious studies that correlate video games to violence.
With violence,
that they
yeah.
make kids more aggressive. And while I don't think that these are completely useless topics to get into and that we
Yeah. Video games do not cause violence. Hearing about from traditional media that video games cause violence. Or at least anger. Traditional media does not know shit.
shouldn't dismiss those kinds of studies altogether, when you consider just how deeply the games that we've played have touched us, how they form such a huge part of a lot of our daily lives, it feels rather shallow to only look at it from those particular angles all the time. You know, these have been researched since probably the beginning of video games. It's not a new conversation to have. And so here we come to this study on post-game depression. Now, I find even the simple acknowledgement of this to be kind of a breath of fresh air. And their findings have been very interesting, but honestly, as a gamer, they're not at all surprising. And to give a brief rundown of the structure of this research, they actually conducted 2 studies with 373 participants. The studies were split into 4 subscales or segments, which were game-related ruminations. Ruminations means deep thoughts, considered thoughts, perhaps philosophical. Challenging
Ruminations is a good bloody word.
end of experience. Necessity of
Okay. What is it? Just like challenging end of experiences? Is just like I can't believe it's over, kind of like denial, kind of thing. Necessity of repeating game, dude. I get that all the time. I mean, it's why I love like replaying Mass Effect like every couple of years. As soon as you go into the over, it's just like, oh god, I can't believe it's over. Maybe I actually finally, like, you know, changed my playstyle. Turns out, whenever you play it again, you always pick the same playstyle. Who actually I always do that. Like, just sort of like, this time I'm finally gonna play like Renegade. Plays Paragon. Again.
repeating the game, and media anhedonia, which refers to the inability to get enjoyment out of other forms of media after finishing a certain game, maybe not even finding other games interesting at all afterwards, all that sort of thing.
I don't think I've ever felt that. That's a very interesting feel. Very interesting feeling.
Psychologist Kamil Yanovich from the University Center for Research on Personality Development recognizes that games are constantly evolving and becoming more sophisticated, to the point that it goes beyond just entertainment and it has a big emotional effect on gamers. And they want to explore and understand this effect and its impact on our mental health. They also recognize that though gamers talk about it often, and they do, there are numerous YouTube videos on it, and you just kind of see memes about completing your favorite game and then someone's like really sad about it. It's a common thing to think about and to talk about, but it has not yet actually been adequately researched, which is what I was talking about earlier. So of course, one of the main findings, which will come as of no surprise to anybody, is that they have observed a lower mood, depressive symptoms, and a sort of a grief over finishing games. There's a lot mixed into that, including those deep thoughts and a real focus on media anhedonia, which in itself can be found to contribute to more feelings of sadness, because if you do not feel that any other kind of media can fill the void, or you're not ready to move on from a highly immersive and emotionally engaging experience, then what else are you going to do in your free time other than sit there and feel sad about it? And they note how that can also complicate your feelings towards the game that you finished. Which makes a lot of sense if you think back to the euphoria that you experience when you're just going through the game for the first time, and then you have something to look forward to when you come back from work or from school, only to then experience this sudden emptiness. Now, of course, these feelings really depend on the kind of person that you are, which was taken into account in this study also. But I do think that nowadays, especially, a lot of people actually feel relief when they finish a game. It's just because there's so much to play now, and with everything that I've even talked about on this channel, the fast food effect on gaming and how there's so...
Have I watched that before? I don't know.
So much coming out, and people can't really seem to focus on one thing for too long.
Dude, I have so much in my backlog. like multiple RPGs that I haven't played or haven't played and should play or like need to finish. Like, how many games have I got on my Steam library? Wait. Pardon me. It's not showing me how many. There are. Oh. I have hundreds of games anyway. Pretty sure most people do. The last time I remember, I think it was like 300-ish, maybe?
You might actually feel better that a game is out of your backlog, but you're still in the loop and you're in the conversation when it comes to that game. Only you're now able to move on to something new. So like I've said, the study does recognize that people that experienced the most intense post-game depression were individuals who usually have intrusive thoughts in their daily lives, or ones who tend to dwell on past events for too long. They are, we'll say, in the higher risk group to experience these depressive symptoms after finishing a game. And one of the other key findings that I feel like has really been the main point of discussion after this study kind of released is the fact that RPGs, or people who play RPGs, are most at risk. Again, not surprising, especially with how deep the concept of an RPG, a role-playing game, is.
Yeah. I almost kind of detest how open-ended the definition of an RPG actually is. Like, I remember when like when COD 4 and games of that nature started coming out, they started to try to call like games with that same like leveling system RPGs. I hated that. Just because you have a leveling system doesn't mean you are not RPG. Shut the fuck up. I don't care that you're technically playing a role in the game. No. That's not a role-playing game. Has to have more than just a freaking leveling system for it to be an RPG. Change my mind.
Whether that is you creating a character in a game like Skyrim, or stepping into a character like Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption 2, story-driven games like that in particular are known and widely recognized as the most difficult to shake in terms of the strong feelings that follow their completion. Now, while this is all well and good, I do feel like in these particular studies, the term RPG is a little bit too broad, at least for me when it comes to experiencing these feelings.
That's what I said.
I'm gonna be honest when I say that I actually felt this a lot less with games like Oblivion, for example. Like, sure, you can complete the main story and there is an ending to that, but because of the kind of game that it is and how you can kind of just keep going, I feel like you're able to pick yourself up almost immediately, and I never really went through any kind of grief with it. Martin is voiced by Sean Bean. Don't tell me you didn't see that coming. But I think that once you finish Oblivion or its main story, you kind of just keep playing it until you stop for no reason, and then you go back and forth with it for years over new characters, as well as just different playthroughs. And I think that this general freedom that comes with RPGs like Oblivion prevents you from fully sinking into the melancholy that comes with finishing a game. And then I remember how I felt after finishing The Last of Us 1. It hit really hard, and it's funny that this is a game that hits you really hard in the beginning, and then you feel it once again at the very end.
That's like The Last of Us is like a weird game to me. Because obviously, yeah, it hits extremely hard in the beginning. But I know if it was like difficulty or what, but like I just stopped.
I want to put a warning right now. If you have not finished Resident Evil Requiem, there will be spoilers. I'm going to give you a timestamp that you can skip to, because you're not going to want to hear this next part if you have not yet finished the game, and since it is relatively new, I do not want to be the person that spoils it for you, so just go ahead and skip it. Thanks.
I know I should probably play the Resident Evil games. But I do not like puzzles. So if there's like I mean, yeah, it seems like very like extremely focused on like puzzle solving. And I don't know if that's, yeah. Anyway, spoilers if you don't want to get,
Bye. They also considered this from the angle of grieving characters that have died. If you want to see post-game depression in action, here was my reaction to choosing the bad ending in Resident Evil Requiem before I knew that I could just immediately and seamlessly go back and choose the good one.
Whoa. Wow.
Damn. We fully sacrificed Leon for the greater good, I guess. I don't know.
And it's funny because this whole time you are aware that Leon is sick and they call him a dead man walking, and he does get progressively worse towards the end, but I just continued to inhale the copium and I stayed alert just in case there was some kind of a saving grace. Get it? And yeah, sure enough there was, but in choosing the bad ending first, I got this immediate low. Just a hit of all those feelings that they describe in the study. I'm holding back tears here, and it just shows how a really good game can impact you. But I wouldn't call Resident Evil an RPG, and I think that perhaps there could have been a little bit more for these story-driven games in terms of...
Yeah, I think, yeah, there needs to be like delineation between RPGs and like cinematic games like The Last of Us, or like, I was trying to say Red Dead Redemption 2 or like that kind of game, but that kind of like shows the line. It's kind of role playing, but also kind of cinematic. It's one of the reasons why Rockstar will never like, sink its claws into me again, because they hand you like a massive open world and then they're just like, oh, story time, here's just a conveyor belt, like, linear path you must follow because story. I don't like that.
Acknowledgement? Because maybe if RPGs are the highest risk group, then these story type games are at the very least second place.
The second high, yeah.
But there's a side to this research which, to my knowledge, has still been left unexplored. See, there's a difference between the feelings that you get when you finish a new game that is currently relevant, like I finished Resident Evil Requiem recently, and even though there was still a bit of that emptiness after I was done, it wasn't really too bad because I know damn well that there's going to be a continuation here, and, there's hope for that, like 1000%. But then there's also this.
What's gonna happen in the next
Shit, didn't Half-Life Episode 2, didn't that come out in like 2000... I want to say 6? Internet, help me. Help. Help. I can't type. Yeah, Half-Life 2 was released in 2004. What about its DLC? Oh, I was right, 2007. 2006, 2007. So it's almost been 20 freaking years.
There's not a next one. They didn't make a next one. And they were saying they're not gonna make another one. So we'll never know what happened.
Oh, I feel for this dude. Oh, I'm getting secondhand sadness. Fuck. Oh, dude. Oh, man. Also, sidetrack about this. I'm like one of the dudes who doesn't actually get Half-Life. I feel like it's too much of a tech demo, more a tech demo for its physics engine than an actual game, if that makes sense. Like, there's way too much, like, thought put into, like, ooh, look at our new engine, look at the physics, look at all the, like, the stuff. Just let me play the goddamn game, okay? I understand why they did that, but can we not do that? I mean, I haven't actually played Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and 2, so maybe they, like, fix that and, like, actually focus on, like, the, you know, the game part of the game instead of, you know, fricking around with, like, you know, God, it's been so long since I played it, like, I just remember stopping at the speedboat section and trying to escape to the countryside. I freaking hated that. I hated it. I never played anymore.
Does that make you sad?
Why does this guy look like oh, who's that? That child actor who is not Macaulay Culkin, the other dude. Haley Joel Osment, that's his name. He kind of looks like that dude.
I'm sorry, Eli.
Who is going to conduct a study on the people that played Half-Life 2 Episode 2? The people that waited years for the rest of the story, only for their hopes and dreams to turn into literal memes. Who?
Yeah, like literal meme to oblivion. Yeah. Oh, dude, imagine like the dudes who got like the rush from like Baldur's Gate 2 waiting for 3. Because Baldur's Gate 2 ended, I think, 2005. And the sequel was 2022? 3? Might have been 3. Yeah. So that's like friggin'... Yeah, 18 years for that payoff. I mean, it wasn't really a direct continuation, but still. Get the study on that. Like, that kind of thing.
Who is going to find this kid right now and ask him how he feels? Where is Eli now? This video here depicts the most severe case of post-game depression. That kid learned about the real world the hard way.
Yeah.
He's ready to face adulthood because he's already faced the greatest of disappointments. I don't think that there's anything that could top this.
Dude.
There's not an email that will find him worse than the way that he is right there. Not a single LinkedIn notification could match the dismay caused by this realization. And there's stages to this too, so first and foremost, it's the realization that there isn't a continuation and that there likely won't be one. But then years later, you come to this dreadful acceptance stage where even if the next part does come out, it likely will be not very good. And that's putting it lightly, but I've said it before. Nowadays, a lot of the big companies are mishandling beloved IPs that have existed for decades.
Like they did with Mass Effect Andromeda. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are aspects of that game that are fucking cool. Like, I really have to try and play it on the channel. Because I really, really fucking love the way that they did the gameplay on that one. But the freaking story just sucks. It really does. Plus, the villain looks like an absolute, like... He looks weirdly cute. Like, go look him up now. Like, the villain of Mass Effect Andromeda. He looks weirdly cute. Like, he's got weirdly big eyes. I don't, like... Why? Plus the characters, some of the characters, like, I mean, I like some of them. I mean, some of them just, like, really fucking weird. And do stupid shit. But, like, I mean, the characters, at least some of them are, like, kind of cool. But most of it is, like, disappointment. Like, Natalie Dormer plays the Doctor in that game, and I was I mean, this was like while like Game of Thrones was like still going on, and I'm just like, holy shit, I really want, like, even in voice, I really wanted to like, you know, tangentially romance, I forgot her name of her character she plays in Game of Thrones. Marjorie Terrell, that's it. Even to just like tangentially romance Marjorie Terrell / Natalie Dormer, who I had a massive crush on at the time, and the disappointment when it was realized that you wouldn't be able to, that maybe kind of led to my disappointment of that game, but yeah. How could you put Natalie Dormer in a game at the height of her popularity and not have her in an RPG where it's like famous for having romances and not have it? I mean, I know she, you know, she gets to, you know, do whatever she wants. She's, you know, whatever, but like, come on! It's come on! I mean, what has it been like? Fucking like, game like came out 2015, I think. I'm still kind of pissed off.
Trust is at an all-time low, and if you don't have trust in these companies to release something worthwhile and do justice to your favorite game universes, then that post-game depression is going to hit even harder, and the effects are going to be even longer lasting. Beyond Good and Evil is a particularly sensitive topic for me. This was one of my first games, and like many of those first games, I have taken it with me through my entire life. The first sequel was announced in 2008, and it looked promising. I was excited for it, but then it was scrapped and announced again as a different game in 2017 at...
Yeah, like, is this game just like vaporware at this point? Because I remember being vaguely excited about this as well. Maybe they just quietly cancelled it because of like the whole downsizing that Ubisoft kind of did.
E3. It has
I wouldn't be
been
surprised.
almost a decade now since the second announcement. The main visionary and the creator of the original game, Michel Ancel, has left the industry. It was his artistic vision that really made Beyond Good and Evil special, and with his departure, it's really feeling like whatever comes next will be more like fan fiction. They did release the Anniversary Remaster Edition in 2024, but completing that only made things more painful again because that came without the promise of any sort of continuation. And it's made even worse by the fact that the game ends on a serious cliffhanger. I think that in general, the lack of closure and the frustration that comes with that could be explored here, especially with things like Beyond Good and Evil or Half-Life. And there is a whole separate conversation to be had for something like Elder Scrolls 6. If I'm honest, I didn't actually feel sad when I completed the main storyline in Skyrim just because of the kind of game that Skyrim is.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like, weirdly, for a game called The Elder Scrolls, and like you think it's like going to be like an absolutely epic like story. I don't think most of their stories are actually that good. I mean, I have only played one of the Elder Scrolls games. I mean, kind of 1.5 with like Oblivion. But like I absolutely like bounced off that game hard when you realized, oh, I'm not the main character, I have to help the main character. And like yeah. It doesn't, yeah. So it's just like, I want to be the one who has powers. I want to be like, you know, the thing, and I really like the dragon, you know, the whole dragon mode thing. Because you're actually the chosen one. When I'm in the RPGs, I prefer to be the chosen one. Just, you know, it's a thing.
Go back to it all the time. There were DLCs that followed. It never truly feels like you're finished with that game or that world. And then there's other people too that get a lot of value out of it by modding. But over the years, and especially following the announcement of Elder Scrolls 6, I get progressively sadder coming back to this game because it's a universe that really deserves a continuation, and I guess there's a closure element to it as well with how certain storylines could pan out. But it's coupled with that doubt and lack of trust that myself and a lot of the community just cannot shake at this point.
Yeah. Especially with like how they've handled Starfield and yeah. I've gotten a board of like series of Starfield on the channel. You can go watch that if you want. I think I've only had like 10 parts on it. Right, yeah, it's very unlikely I will come back because it looks like, well, they're kind of focusing on the wrong shit. They are steadily updating it, but they're just focusing on the wrong freaking stuff. I have like little to no hopes about the Elder Scrolls 6. It's probably going to be released. Like, all thoughts are like the next game in the mainline series will probably be like at least 2030, 2035. I'm going to be 45 by the time that comes out. Let alone freaking like the next Fallout game. That's going to be after that. Dude. I mean, even like Fallout 4 kind of like disappointed me. Man.
So it's not even post-game depression in the immediate sense, but rather a series of events spanning perhaps years after a game's initial release, and then the dwindling hope that the next game is going to be good or that it's going to release at all. So I do think that there's a lot of potential for future research here if you're going to focus on this and the way that media affects our mental health overall. And I think that for video games you can for sure find that much of what actually impacts us is long-lasting. It lingers, and perhaps it even changes our attitude to media in general. I would love to see more gamer psychology related research like this. There's one topic that I think about often, for example, and that is in-game romances in things like Baldur's Gate 3. More and more RPGs especially have this kind of a tendency to include romance. So in some form, in some way, it's always included, and every game seems to kind of outclass the other with just how deep and immersive they are with it. How does that affect mental health? Real life relationships? How far is too far? What's considered cheating?
You know what? I am also interested. God damn. I mean, you know, like the whole. I mean, I just described it like early in this video. Like, oh yeah, next time I'm gonna like do completely different choices. Romance is the exact same character, does the exact same like story choices. The exact same moral alignment. I mean, I've been trying to challenge that with, you know, maybe doing Dark Urge, like Baldur's Gate 3. See if I can read, like, how evil I can actually be. But, like, yeah. I mean, aside from my first, playthrough of Mass Effect 3, which was Tali, and that was before I found out how actually young she was in Mass Effect 1, that you actually couldn't romance her in number 1. That kind of weirded me out a little bit, so, you know, hopped over to Blue Lady, and I basically can't not romance her. To do anything else would actually be cheating. It does feel like you're cheating, even though it's like an alternate universe. If you're being honest, it feels weird. It does.
If they did a study on couples where perhaps both of the partners are gamers and then maybe just one of the partners plays games, I would be so interested to just learn what goes on in that particular space. I think that's one element of gamer psychology that isn't fully explored yet because it's a relatively new thing to include that level of depth with romance in games, and yeah, I think that the findings for that could be really, really interesting. But yeah, that about covers it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. As always, huge shout out to my channel members. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Be seeing you. Bye.
Oh yeah. And I hope you enjoy my video too. As always, video linked in the description. And yeah. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Please like, share, subscribe this video and also hers. Have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are. I am Purist, signing off.